small business and care about your people. You care. But health benefits are a headache, I know. The cost is high, made for the big guys. And just in minutes, we'll have a custom plan for you. Make your money go further with Stretch Dollar. Make your money go further with Stretch Dollar. Make your money go further with Stretch Dollar.
Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. Never forget the heart, Steve. Doing business in life with a purpose, serving others and achieving success. I'm your host, Steve Ramona, and we created this show for you because we want everyone to learn how to do business and life to make an impact in the world while you're serving. I want you to think about, as you're listening to my guest today, is how you're going to serve today and what impact will you make today. My guest today, we in the green room found out we went to the same high school. He's in Philly. I'm in San Jose. This is the way the world's working now, virtually, where we're connecting. But he's got something that's way cool that everybody in small business or any business needs to listen to because it's part of their business and they have to deal with this, whether they like it or not. And my guest helps you deal with it. Marshall, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. And it's wild. Same high school, you know?
Shout out to Mitty High School, Monarchs.
Yeah.
We're alumni there. Of course, I'm much older and less handsome, but that's okay. We're still alumni.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I love it. Stretch Dollar, when I was going through your notes, and it's a unique name for a business. How did that come up with that?
Yeah, funnily enough, I was actually sleeping. Woke up with like a few ideas. I had been tinkering on it for a couple of weeks because like Stretch Dollar started in a bit of an odd way where most all of the team was working together at a company that did a huge round of layoffs. So basically a startup went from 70 people down to 4. I had an option to sort of stay on, but ultimately I really, really liked working with the team we had built out there. And so wanted to pick some of the people, charge up another hill, and basically come up with a business. So it was almost inverted from how most businesses start, where you have a team and you're just sort of trying to find an idea almost. And we settled on really being interested in the model, which I'm sure we'll dig into in a bit. And like I was trying to come up with a name, like what's a business without a name? And was going through for like a week or so, just coming up with random ideas, popping them into GoDaddy, seeing if anybody had claimed them, and wound up finding stretchdollar.com that was out there for $3,000. And I went to the team and I tried to convince them to a few worse names first, actually, that were just cheaper because we hadn't raised any money yet. But luckily they made me stick to my guns and we wound up buying stretchdollar.com and been off to the races basically ever since.
I like that. And I love the collaboration. You know, I know it sounds simple. Everybody does it, but not everybody does it, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I love that story. I'm going to dive deep into the small business thing. Why do small businesses fail?
I mean, millions of reasons I feel, but most specifically, you know, a lot of it's luck. I know that that's equally unsettling to sort of hear, but like a lot of small business is timing and luck. And people can do everything right, can really deserve to be a thriving business, and just circumstances outside of their control can impact them. I think, you know, us personally as a small business, we've been incredibly lucky with how we've gotten started. And I never lose track of that. Because, you know, it's important to stay grounded that way, I believe. Past that, I mean, there's the typical reasons where, you know, tastes of the market maybe change, and the business you built would have been great 10 years ago or 10 years in the future, just not great right now. And then, of course, you know, the random curveballs life throws. But I think I deeply and personally believe that like small businesses are the most interesting place for anyone to work at. I feel like everyone's contribution can make such a noticeable impact in the business, and the odds that you're aligned at like a personal level with the mission of what the business is working on are much higher, and that you can impact the success or failure is much better. And so I've been working in small businesses and in businesses, helping small businesses for a long time. And I never have a conversation with an uninteresting person.
I like that. And small business, we know, is runs
Mhm.
the United States. And when it comes to business, yeah, you got your Googles and Amazons, but they're
Mhm.
outliers compared to most of them small business. And I love that that's your industry that you love to work in,
Mhm.
because they need the most help. But I think the way you can help is with health benefits. And how significant are the health benefits for our small business when they offer to their employees?
Yeah, it's a good question. Important thing to note is that for most all small businesses, it's not required that you offer health
Mhm.
benefits. Um, it's something that like a lot of people feel they graduate into when business is going well. You can sort of hit that next level, taking care of your people, but it's not a requirement. And uh, I mean, I could talk all day about how silly the state of modern health insurance is.
Oh, yeah.
The group health insurance actually got started back in World War I as a symptom of a wage freeze,
Mm.
where basically the government was like, okay, no one's allowed to increase anyone's wages until the war is over. And businesses found a loophole of offering health insurance benefits. And it was so successful at recruiting and retaining workers that it basically has soldiered on through till today. But it's funny because right now, like so many things in business can just feel like they've eternally been a piece of what you're doing. And it's sort of odd to realize that's not true. And
Yeah.
that like we can trace it all back to a very specific moment and decision. And frankly, I think, it, there are pros and cons to everything, but I'm personally rather frustrated with the modern state of health insurance, and I think that decision has had an outside impact on what we're feeling today.
I'm standing side by side with you. I won't, it's not about me today, but I agree with you. That's why I was very interested
Mhm.
reading your notes. And what's interesting is with health benefits and your story,
Mhm.
you're, I own a small business. I got 10 employees. I can reward them. Hey, our expenses are here, but for a little bit more, I can give you health benefits
Mhm.
instead of a raise today. And
Yeah.
I don't know if reward's the right word. Is that kind of what a small business can be doing?
Yeah, essentially with Stretch Dollar, you can set a pre-tax monthly budget that your employees can use to offset the cost of plans they pick and they own. We help match employees with policies on the individual market, but instead of having to be like, okay, everybody gets over to this Blue Cross Blue Shield policy that I own, that I administer, that I have to manage, your people can take that money. Maybe some want a Kaiser, some want Blue Cross Blue Shield, some want United, Aetna, Cigna. Like, why should you make that decision for other people's healthcare? With us, it's really as simple as being like, hey, everybody gets an extra $300 a month if you sign up through Stretch Dollar. We save small businesses about 60 hours up front on the setup and another 40
Mm.
hours each year on the administrative side. So the whole thinking is like, let's make this simple, let's make this easy, let's save you some money, and let's open up options for your people.
I've got to say, 60 hours is huge.
Yeah.
That's if you do 40 hours, that's a week and a half.
Uh-huh.
If you throw it out there that you're going to save, because time is huge for small, big business. They're so big, they got employees that's not going to make a dent. But, a guy with 10 employees, you tell
Mhm.
me you're going to save me 60 hours and reward my employees. I think it's a game changer.
Yeah. And, not all hours are created equal.
Yeah.
This is 60 bad hours,
Yep.
weighing different health plans and trade-offs and learning about stuff. Frankly, like experts in the space have spent years not understanding.
Right. One or two ways, or more than that,
Mhm.
small businesses can serve with health benefits? What can they do with the health benefits to go keep Steve Ramona there
Mhm.
longer? I guess would be one. But what other things? Because I know not all small businesses have health benefits, right? Because they
Yeah,
can't afford them.
it's true. It's true. And I think the fact of the matter is that like for some businesses, there's a right time and a wrong time to offer these benefits. Like you don't want to put your core business at risk, just to lean out and try and extend this benefit structure. But if you can, I mean, the unfortunate reality of how people access health insurance in America is mostly through their employers. So, that's to no fault of you, the small business owner, but it's the world we live in where like your employees are going to be thinking about how can I get my health care? And they're going to assume that you're involved in that decision. Um, it's uh it's an incredible way to help people like build thriving families, to secure them from potential financial hardships, to help them actually like live healthier and better lives. Um, but at the same time, you have to balance it with the realities of running your business.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the challenge why I think small business people push it. Oh, I'll do it later. Marshall, I'll talk to you later because marketing, sale,
Mhm.
all the other departments they got to take care of or things with their business. And
Mhm.
I just wrote something down. You teach businesses to turn into servant businesses by serving their employees, which makes
Mhm.
better employees, gives you better customers. Am I thinking
Yeah,
right there?
yeah. I mean, I would love to think so. Our mission at Stretch though is how do we make small businesses the best place in the world to work? Because, as we've shared earlier, we're both in love with small businesses, what they do to the economy, what they allow people to do, and how they help everyone sort of chase their dreams.
Yeah.
But there is a trade-off. You're asking a lot of your employees to make if they're coming to work for you versus some huge business, some Google or Apple that has, access to just resources and like scale that you don't. And our focus is really on like, how can we reduce those trade-offs, so that more people can be interested in working for small businesses like yours. And therefore, the whole economy is just going to function better and people's careers can function better and people can, love what they want to do for work.
Hey, man, I love what you just said because it really compounds down the road.
Mhm.
A plumber works with a contractor, works with a realtor, works,
Yeah.
and they're all serving.
Hmm.
It just makes the world better. Let's flip the table. How do
Yeah.
you and Stretch Dollars serve your small businesses?
Oh, well, up until a week ago, I've been frontline for sales, customer service, all of that. We actually just hired our first sales rep, but uh,
Congratulations.
thank you. For the first couple dozen companies, it was just me talking to people and feeling out like, who are we a good fit for? Who can we help? And like letting people know too when it's like, hey, maybe I wouldn't think about that yet, or like, hey, a lot of you people can qualify for government subsidized plans. Like you should really explore something else. There's enough business out there that like everybody should be able to find what works best for them. And that's really our intentionality is like we can grow, we can become a thriving business. And like a very important piece of that is never coercing anybody onto a platform they might not need.
And that's why I was just going to ask you. So you read my mind, I guess, because we both went to Mitty. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to ask. Yeah, this is not for everybody,
Mhm.
and a lot of businesses don't do that. And I'm not going
Yeah.
to say a percentage; they're just going to put a circle into a square hole.
Yeah.
You're like, let's do an assessment or whatever you
Mhm.
call it. Let's see
Mhm.
if this fits for you and your budget and everything else. Correct?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And the other thing too is like we don't have any sort of penalty for canceling early. We allow you to adjust your contributions whenever you want. And so it's really a flexible starting point in my mind for small businesses to approach their health benefit, their benefit overall journey. We think we're the easiest, simplest way to get going, but like everybody gets going on their own timeline. And
Yeah.
we're in no rush. I don't think anyone should be in a rush really. Obviously, sometimes health things come up that like really put that gap into perspective and we want to be there when that's an issue and like we've structured our business really around that. We recently announced a partnership with Resolve Medical Bills, where now any employee at our company, if they have a bill over $500, we'll negotiate it down. On average, getting that reduced by 60%. And
Wow.
it's like the job's not done when, you onboard and you get started. The job's never done, really.
Love partnerships. So you're making my heart flutter right now, because that's the greatest way, because there's so many things a small business needs. If
Mhm,
you can be that central hub and bring this person in, this company and this company to make
mhm,
it even better, that's such a win-win. Man, I love hearing that.
mhm,
Regards to a servant leader, let's go to
mhm,
that, because it's doing business with a servant's heart. In
mhm.
your eyes, what do you see when you see a servant leader?
Yeah, I think back a lot to a moment earlier in my career, where we were hosting an event at a location, and the venue was putting out chairs to get ready for the people we were going to have in. Um, and I noticed my boss and his partner at the time were just sort of like chit-chatting back at the bar. Um, and I went and just started putting out chairs. And I think you can't expect your team to jump in and put in the work if you're not willing to also. And one thing I always say at Stretch Seller is, over here we all put out the chairs. Like that means me, that means my co-founder, that means anyone at the company. There's no work anyone's too good for, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You're not asked to put out chairs every day and affect your job, but
Yeah.
you fill in emergency times when you need to do it.
Mhm.
Maybe it's talk to somebody else is busy, or,
Mhm.
I don't know if you have a brick and mortar, but, virtually you meet with somebody, hey, my partner's coming, whatever that may be. Yeah. It's interesting. We put titles on people, and especially in small business, and we
Mhm.
stick to them.
Yeah.
Marshall's the CEO and Steve's the admin. And sorry, you can't answer the phone, Marshall, because you're the CEO. Absolutely. Phones are
Yeah.
ringing off the hook.
Yeah. And it's I think people like can really slide into that feeling of almost superiority in a way that's not only detrimental to their business, but potentially even risky to personal character. Like um you aren't a small business owner or a CEO or a founder because you're innately superior to anyone else.
Yeah, that's well said. Even though they
Mhm.
think they do sometimes,
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunately. Well, why I love health benefits is it's the top three debt in the world. It's
Mhm.
trillions,
Mhm.
because an employee couldn't help their employer couldn't help their employee. And
Mhm.
not, I'm not blaming the employer, because if
Yeah.
they don't have the money, they're in a deficit. They can't give me the $300, $200.
Mhm.
But with that statement,
Mhm.
what do you guys do come in to help that?
Yeah, it's a good question because it's a big mess right now.
Hmm.
And I've heard people have asked me directly, like, why would you start a company involved in health benefits right now? Like, look at the state of things. But like, I like to say, you don't ignore a fire in your front yard because you think it might rain. Like, you gotta
It's
like
great.
you gotta go towards the biggest problems. And functionally, um, there's an interesting piece of our model where if we're very successful, and if companies doing things like mine are very successful, you bring a lot of risk back from the sort of self-underwritten employer space where especially larger employers, they actually like get their company underwritten and pay just for their employees. The problem with that is, on average, people who work at companies tend to have a better health profile than just the average individual, because like things come up. It's harder to hold a job full time if you have health issues, things like that. And that's why initially, when the ACA or Obamacare rolled out, the individual market was very expensive. That since sort of started to flip, and as we bring more people from these decentralized risk pools back to the individual market, prices get better for everyone.
Yeah, and that's important, because there's too many people out there walking around with no insurance, and that's scary. That's really
Yeah.
scary. Big part of health benefits, I believe, is education. What kind of
Mhm.
education you do with your clients, and maybe non-clients, people you're working with or talking to?
I think the the hardest piece to really get is that like is to re-inspire any hope in the system. we moved over a client a little while back, and I wound up sitting down with one of the employees who just had a complicated personal situation. She was a type 1 diabetic paying $1,400 a week for her insulin. They were on a company health plan currently, just the one that worked for everyone at the company really did not work for her insulin. And being able to look at what she was prescribed, looked at the different formularies available in her area, we were able to find one with a $30 weekly copay, saving her an astronomical amount of money. And this was a 27-year-old, like $1,400 a week was not easy.
Yeah, 5,600 a month. That's, I'm in California. That's our rent out here, but
Yeah.
most other places it's not their rent, 5,600.
Yeah.
And that's outside your preview too, Marshall. I mean, you guys don't sell insurance and any of that. You help cover the cost. So you went outside and served her because you had the resources to help her.
Yeah. And I am a licensed broker in like 34 states, but the big thinking behind this is that, like, just because your company plan didn't work out for you doesn't mean all health insurance plans can't. Each one is a little bit unique, much like each person. And if we can match you to one where you're going to be best taken care of, we can dramatically improve your sort of like not just financial reality, it's like your personal health situation as well. Like, she was rationing her insulin, which is really bad for you, but like no other alternatives really.
Yeah. And that's death. I know people, I've lost friends who have diabetics that, you lost foots or have died because of that. So now you're talking life and death, which is very serious. We're coming to the end here, but, we could dive into health benefits. I might have to bring you back because there's so much more we dive into. So what you do at Stretch Dollar, I want people to understand this. It doesn't matter if you've got the company's insurance or this lady outside, the monies that you develop with the company through their payroll, through their budget, pays for everybody's insurance, no matter what they have.
Yeah, it's really the best way to think about Stretch Dollar is as a funding vehicle, where instead of like selecting and onboarding everyone to the same group plan, you open up a lot of flexibility because ultimately you're just providing pre-tax funding that your employees can use to select their own policies. So simpler for you, more options for them. And then what we have to do to earn our spot is make sure that your people are as well taken care of as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so cool. One other question. If somebody has health benefits and decides to switch, can they reach out to you and ask you, hey, I've got two comparables? I know you did with this lady, but somebody reached out there because it happens all the time. I'm not going to talk about me, but I hear people that come to me, hey, I got, Obamacare at $0 a month. And I said, but your deductible's going to probably be 15,000. So be conscious of that. That time, is that a service that you provide that's not really written in your?
Yeah, absolutely. Any employee joining our platform can book time with our health insurance brokers. I'm on that team. So I'm on, a handful of calls a week, just sitting with employees trying to sort out, what works best for them, because it varies a lot based on personal situation, based on where they're at. And like, it's just not reasonable to assume that everybody's going to be able to work it out from some checkout platform,
Right. No, and it's so true. It's that's why people aren't getting it. It's so complex. They get, what's that when you get too much information? They
analysis paralysis.
Thank you. See, he's a smart guy, audience. You need to reach out to him. That's it.
Go Monarchs.
Yeah, go Monarchs. Yeah, they taught us something, didn't they? I love it. Yeah, and thank you for saying that, because that is, I'm not, I do something on the side too, but I don't have all the answers because I'm not involved in the middle of it. So I think that's a part of the way to solve it, is make it not so complex, but we're not going to solve that today. So we won't get there.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. Well, I want to thank you for being on. I know there's people out there, and if you should, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, I would say stretchdollar.com is the best way to get rolling. if you go ahead in there, you can start signing up for our platform. You can book time with either me or Aaron or Ellen. And yeah, we want to talk with you.
Yeah, that's great. And thank you for listening, audience. I always say that, especially a podcast like this. Marshall put out a ton of nuggets. Some were thousands of dollars to you. Listen to the podcast again. That's the beauty of a podcast. It's like a book, except you're listening or watching. Watch it over and over again, and definitely reach out to Marshall, because as you can see, you're going to learn a lot. And I tell you what, you take care of your health benefits. What a stress relief for your life, and makes you a better employee, because your life can affect your employment in many not so good ways. And don't forget my TV show, Together We Serve, every Friday at 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern. And do me a favor, when this goes out on YouTube in the next couple of days, leave me some comments. Leave comments for Marshall. If he doesn't see it, I'll make sure he gets it. And do some reviews on my podcast, Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. We'll see you all in the next episode. Thanks again.
Thank you.